the water, right? It's just as important as our food supply. They should be the number two, the two number one things that we are focused on securing, protecting, and ensuring that we all have enough of this resource. I think the important part of this presentation that I just want to set the tone of it is that we're not going into this saying this is good or this is bad. Okay. There's no good or bad. This is a very open-minded, wanting to plant the seed to empower people, right, to make these informed decisions on their own, because it's very easy to have people come in and say, oh, you should do this, you should do that. We're not saying you should do anything except test your water.
Hello and welcome to Teaching Liberty. I'm Stephanie Edmonds, and today I am here with Elizabeth, also known as Lady Be Good, owner of Queen Bee's Farmacy, and she is here to talk to us all about water, because water is life. Water is my favorite drink, and there's been all sorts of things in the news lately about chemical spills, and just in general, there's always been a little bit of hesitation about, is the tap water clean? Should I filter it? Should I buy that bottled water? Do I have to get that really fancy special water machine or whatever it is? So today, we're not going to dive all the way in deep, but we're going to start to, touch the surface, create a little bit of ripple effects, you might say. So with no further ado, welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Hi, thanks. Nice to see you again. Thanks for having me on.
Listen, it's always great to have you on. Everybody should know Elizabeth and I have done many things together in the past, from doing online courses to hosting camping trips, which we're definitely going to be doing again this summer. So check that out over at TeachingLiberty.org. And in the meantime, till we get that up, make sure you go check out all of Elizabeth's great products over at queenbeesfarmacy.com. That's pharmacy with an F. She has, of course, her honey, right? She's known for being a beekeeper. However, there's a lot of great stuff on there, from kind of like survival kits, water filters, what else? Garlic.
We're getting involved with that. I think the theme of it is really natural versatile products, right? We have natural versatile skincare that can double as first aid cream as well, right? With our trendy tallow. And then, the garlic you can also use as medicinal, right? There's tons of different medicinal properties of garlic, but it's a great thing to cook with. So I love having that. Honey, not only can we bake with it, we like it in our tea, but also you can use it for wound care as well. So it's kind of like finding.
I know there's those, I swear, when you find those products, I think coconut might be another one of them. They just are so versatile, so many uses. And if you use the code Teaching Liberty, you will save 15% off your entire order any time of the year.
Yeah.
Because it's always a good time to learn, to live free. And today we're going to be focusing, like I said, on water. We put together a little presentation for you over here. And I guess, why don't you give us just a little bit of background on your knowledge, your history, and the research that you've done to inform this presentation we're going to do today?
We'll start off by saying I was born and raised in New York City, right? We always had really good water in New York City. A lot of people in Manhattan received their drinking water from the Roundout Reservoir up in the Catskill region. And I grew up in that area. My family got a house up in the Catskills, and I grew up driving past the reservoirs and seeing where our water came from. And that was a really beautiful experience as a young child. I don't think I really obviously understood the importance of it at that time, but I was overwhelmed with the size and the magnitude of what the reservoir was, right? For a long time, I worked for Clean Water Action. I worked for a New Jersey Environmental Federation here in the state of New Jersey for several years. And I have a lot of experience learning about where our water comes from, how to test for the water, where you go, who you talk to, these things. I went door to door canvassing, talking to neighbors about their clean drinking water, informing them about the Clean Water Act, and also helping get legislation and laws and making sure our legislation, which has obviously led me to be activism in other areas, but water was where it got started. No fracking, no drilling, all of that was first before anything else in my activism career, just to be clear. And I think the important part of this presentation that I just want to set the tone of it is that we're not going into this saying this is good or this is bad. Okay, there's no good or bad. This is a very open-minded, wanting to plant the seed to empower people, right, to make these informed decisions on their own, because it's very easy to have people come in and say, oh, you should do this, you should do that. We're not saying you should do anything except test your water. All right. And we'll show the avenues of how to do that.
Yes. So this is really about asking, what are my water needs? What are my water sources? And what is best for me? Right. Doing the research in that, empowering you to do that research. We probably won't answer that question for you tonight, but hopefully we will empower you so you know how to do that research and go about this.
Correct.
Because as we were saying, water is life. It's about your health. It's, you know, you water your plants. It's clean water helps us live, helps us grow, helps us make money, helps us think and learn better. All these things are connected to our water sources. And what are our water sources? Where does water come from when you open that tap?
We have well water and we have municipal water. Water sources from the well are obviously something that's going to be usually local to your property, right? Where you can access that yourself. You may share a water source with someone else, but you are pretty much responsible for that water source. I do believe that this is one of the best ways to receive drinking water, because usually these wells and these water sources are dug down deep, which you would have the natural filtration system. However, things can contaminate well water. Okay. We have the spills we were talking about, natural disasters, acid rain, all these different things that can contaminate the water. Usually when a person buys a home, they are given a water test report that is usually provided by the homeowner, the previous homeowner selling. It's usually done in all of that business. Okay. And if it's not, you're entitled to it as the new homeowner under the Clean Water Act. Okay. There are laws that allow you to get this information. Now, municipal water is on, you know, you're on I call this water on grid, right? Well, I don't know how else to explain it, but you're sharing the water with the whole municipality. You can get your water report from municipal water, from your municipality. They should have updated water reports quarterly, okay? And you can find out everything that's in your water that way.
So the major difference here is well water, it seems like the individual or perhaps you and some neighbors are directly responsible for that water. If it's a municipal supply, that means that you're paying for it through your taxes. So whether that be on the city, the town, or the county level, it's going to be broken down differently in different places depending on where you live.
Right.
I think I know for
municipal water goes through treatments as well.
Yeah. So municipal water is going to go through treatments from the town. There, again, you should look into those processes and do as Elizabeth suggested. Just because you're not the homeowner and not directly responsible for it doesn't mean you don't have any responsibility anymore. This is what you began to get into with the Clean Water Act. And all of this information is directly from the United States Environmental Protection Agency. So you can just Google them. Their website will come right up. As you were saying, Elizabeth, it establishes the basic structure for regulating discharge of pollutants into the water of the United States by regulating the quality standards for surface water.
So it's a little overwhelming too, because it states right there, it establishes the basic structure for regulating regulating discharges of pollutants. There's a lot of pollutants that are not recorded that aren't even in this structure. I don't want to go off on that tangent, but this is a basic structure. Okay. It's not the end all. One of the great things now is back in the day, we didn't have these amazing access to testing. Like we've seen such an advancement in testing. Like you can get your blood work done from home now, which is, incredible. And we never had access to these amazing tests that, you can test your own water now at home.
So these are the basic standards. We're going to get into how we can test and go beyond the basics, empower ourselves, not just rely on these agencies, because as we've seen, these 3-letter agencies and their experts aren't quite as reliable as one might hope them to be. But here are some numbers they give us. 150,000. That's the number of public water systems across the United States of America. So whether that be the town, the city, the county level, and then about 10% of the households across America are actually doing this by themselves through their private wells. And so this is the website that you were talking about, Elizabeth. So you can just go to ewg.org/tapwater and type in your zip code and it will come up.
They also have this is their database for the tap water. They have another database that is for skin. It's called Clear Skin or something like that. And it's a guide for buying like shampoo and conditioner and different makeup and all of that. But it all coincides together, like I said, because when you're rinsing all that off, it goes back into your water. They also do have their own guide for water filtration systems and water filters on the site too. So I encourage people to do your research because
Seems like a good resource.
It's a great resource. Oh, testing water. We have these do-it-yourself kits and we have industry testing. You can hire companies, obviously, to come over. I have not heard very great reports from having these water companies come in and test their water. It seems to me they're always trying to sell something. You can do it yourself. They have amazing test kits that range anywhere from $10 all the way up to hundreds of dollars, which are basic tests. You can get them on Amazon. Obviously, you can shop wherever it feels comfortable for you.
Yeah, I'm not recommending any of these on here. I was just showing a basic search to show you the wide variety of price points, of just appearances. So again, you have to do your research and also look at what they're for. Different test kits are going to be testing for different things. And again, what are your purposes here?
So like Home Depot, okay, carries a test and it really matters what you want to be testing for. So if you have well water and say like you live near a farm, you're going to want to be testing for different chemicals than say someone who's living in the city that's on municipal water. And that's where you try to find out the contaminants. If there is a scare for E. coli, there's a test for E. coli. There's testing for heavy metals. There are ones that can join all of these together where you can test for all of them. I also tell people investing a little bit of money into getting proper testing, even if you do it yourself, you have a baseline. There's tons of labs that you can send it out for. BJ's, Home Depot, Lowe's, they have these little things that you could just do a baseline test. It's free. You take your water, you send it in, then you can get more involved and pay. But it's always good to have these baselines to go off of and do a little comparison. I would never just do one test and think that that's the end all. And I always read people's reviews on these test kits because there's a lot of feedback, things to look out for. Sometimes people have made mistakes and it's better to let someone else make that mistake and you to learn from that instead of wasting your money. And I find reading reviews, it does take some time, but it really gives you an insight. And you'll know if it's a really crappy product, people are going to let you know with their reviews. And if it's got some really good reviews, I try to also read what type of water they have, because you're not going to be testing well water, the same things you're testing for municipal water.
Right. And again, it also is going to depend very much where your well is, whether you're out in the country, whether you're in the suburbs, whether you're near farming, like you said, or maybe it's a particular type of farming, a golf course. Exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm. So definitely take these things into consideration. Ask those questions.
Yeah.
And another great point that you've been making this whole time is also about, this isn't just about your drinking water. right? It's also about the water that you're using to bathe in, to brush your teeth in, to water your plants with, assuming that those plants are bearing fruit or vegetables. So don't just get a water filter for your kitchen and think, oh yeah, I'm all set, right? We got to think about these other areas. And I'm definitely guilty of that. Though I would say at least you are minimizing the number of contact, right, with these contaminants by at least doing one thing, right?
Being aware is the first step, and it's not to make people go crazy. This is like, I know you can go crazy reading labels, contaminated water, oh my God, oil spills everywhere, but knowledge is power. And I feel like when you have the knowledge to inform yourself and then make informed and empowered decisions, it really dispels the fear of freaking out about all these things. It's like, all right, we know this is going on, but here we are. It's kind of how I joke around, like when gluten-free started going, right? There were no great products of gluten-free. It would suck now. Look at it. Like we have so much. It's the same thing with water filters. When I was doing, because we have to give a little shout out to Regina from Your Health and Your Wellness. She helped put this together. She can't be here right now, but she helped put all this information together and did a lot of research on her own, coinciding with the stuff I was doing. And then you came in helping too, which is great because now we're covering so much more of it. But going over the water filters, we were so in awe, like, wow, Brita really has made some power moves, and they've really come a long way with water filters, which I really feel is a great thing, because people on all brackets of whatever you make, like whatever you can afford, there's going to be something out there for you. You don't have to be in this place like, oh my God, that water filter is thousands of dollars and I can't afford it, and that's the one I need. No, it doesn't have to be like that. There are so many different avenues and alternatives now. And like you stated, you can make your own and build your own, which is in fact cheaper. There's amazing YouTube videos, there's Reddit, there's so much information out there that if a person really wanted to take the time to learn how a proper filtration system works, it would behoove you all, right, to do that. Because then when you're seeking out these water filters, like I went into Lowe's the other day just to skim. I want to get a water filter for my shower, not because it's necessary, but because I want to do a test to see if my hair feels different. I read this and I said, I don't think I have hard water, but I want to try a filter. It's not going to hurt, right? I went to Lowe's just to scope out what they have. I knew right away, just scoping out and reading, that those were not the water filters I was looking for. Now, the water filter I'm looking for is not over $100 either. And I think this is on my body. This is going on my child's body, my husband's body. We shower, like all the time. So investing a little bit under $100 that the filter may have to get changed every 6 months, that's well worth it to protect my family. The water, right? It's just as important as our food supply. They should be the number two, the two number one things that we are focused on securing, protecting, and ensuring that we all have enough of this resource. I don't think we ever thought we would be here in a place where like water wars was like a thing that could happen. Right?
Yeah, I think we tend to forget in our modern comforts that resources are an essential part of life and have in fact driven much of the way that we've organized, and they've caused a lot of wars. And so we have to kind of get a little bit uncomfortable, start pushing, start asking these questions, and start getting back in connection, I think, with how life is sustained. Again, these modern comforts really come between us and how we actually survive. And it's time to get a little bit real. I love the way that you were wrapping it up there, those questions, and definitely talking about you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. Hey, maybe that is what you need. Maybe you have a certain situation. Maybe, maybe you have the financial comfortability where you can drop a few G's on something. And that if that's for you,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, exactly.
I just don't want I
Go
think we
ahead.
don't want people like we've both been, single moms, right? You were in a position where you lost your teaching job and all of this, but should that now like not allow you to have clean drinking water?
I have a pure water filter, just to put
Oh,
that out
okay.
there. It was, I think, $28.99, so like
Oh,
30 or so bucks with taxes. I think
I
the
wish
water tastes
Regina was
pretty
on
good.
here. I wish Regina was on here to tell us a little more about the Pure,
Yeah,
because
I mean,
like,
it has the testing and stuff, so I figured I could show it to you guys. Maybe we could go more in depth about it or do something on Instagram Live. But I just want to end off with this last slide that I think it really summarizes these basic points here about what to really look for and ask about when you're getting a water filter. And that's what type of contaminants are in your water. Again, so this means that you've done the testing, or maybe you didn't invest in doing the testing, but you at least invested the time in looking at the tests that were done out there, whether they be by the EPA, your local city or town, or a third party testing organization as the one that we showed you. What is your budget? Do you have 30 or 40 bucks like I currently do at this time to spend? Do you have a little bit more like Elizabeth, who's looking into investing in her shower at this point in time? Do you have a bunch of money sitting around? You're just going to get every single faucet done in your house, all the showers. How much time are you willing to invest? Because maybe you're going to build your own crazy water filter like my friend did up in Cape Cod, where they're responsible for having their own for having and maintaining their own water source through a well and creating their own water filtration system. So he went all in and has a super badass system up there.
so the other thing that I want to bring up too is that it's important to note like how many people you have in your family, because the Pure might work out for you and two other people in your house, but if I had like 6 people in my house and a Pure pitcher, it's not going to be enough for 6 people needing to drink that much water. So that's the other really big thing to take into consideration is how many people are you looking to hydrate? Your animals too. It does take on, because spending a little more may save you more money, right, in the long run, because if you have a filter that doesn't need to be changed as quickly or is meant to hold whole households. I ran into this and learned it this way with my air filter, right? Because we'll talk about air filters, but I wound up investing in a better quality air filter that cost a little more money up front, but it actually saved me a lot more money in the long run comparison to the other air filters that were on the market, where I have to change this one a lot less, like never. And the warranty, there's another thing, the warranty should cover your filter for at least the life of the filter.
All great things that we should be considering. I also think just in general, kind of taking that opportunity cost of spending money, a little bit more money on your water filter and that healthcare long term. Investing in water over the long term is going to save you money on your healthcare. It's going to help you live a longer, fuller, happier life. Water is life. I hope you take this information. I hope it empowers you to get out there, to ask those questions, to get the tests done, to buy the water filters. Definitely leave us some comments down below. We want to know what water systems you're currently using, or if you have any questions for Elizabeth, leave them down there and I'll make sure she gets in there and answers those questions. Also, if you didn't do it on the way in, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're following us both here on YouTube. Elizabeth has her own YouTube channel at Queen Bee's Pharmacy, and we're both on Instagram. I know I'm on Twitter as well. So follow us, get in the conversation, and most of all, keep living free.
Come on.